Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. On this very episode, we will have our news roundup, followed by reviews of Violet, Ida Red, Last Night in Soho, and lastly, we'll be discussing what we love or loathe about holiday films before we build our own perfect holiday movie. Let's get on with the show. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today, my fellow host, Don Davenport.
Hey, Aaron. How you doing, you son of a bitch?
Wow, that's a greeting. Amanda Sink.
Hello, hello.
Troy will not be here this week. He is off doing whatever Troy does in his free time.
Traveling?
I don't know. He's probably coming up with some weird-ass theory that no one understands, but will somehow prove irrevocably true.
And
like
will
8 years
somehow
later.
show up on the TV show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
God damn it. That son of a bitch.
He keeps doing it, too. It's a constant habit with him. It's a little frustrating, but cool at the same time.
It is.
If you don't understand, you should go listen to the Blacklist Exposed podcast
I wouldn't.
with Aaron and Troy.
I'd Google it.
After you're done listening to this show, though.
I would just Google it. I would not spend all that time. That is so many hours. You know, Halloween's over, so we are officially in holiday season, which is why we're into the holiday theme. Anybody excited, or are you kind of just mopey that Halloween's over? Are you excited to be in this, like the final 2 months of the year, the holiday, everything's going to be Christmas for the next freaking 2 months?
Why not both?
I guess you can have both, sure. I don't, but I guess you can if you so
I do.
feel
I
inclined.
love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, and I'm sad it's over already, but I also really like the holidays. I like Thanksgiving. I like Christmas. I like New Year's. So it's just an endless holiday season.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Oh, am I supposed to talk?
Well, John, I don't know. I guess it depends.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
I wish we had more horror offerings for Christmas. I feel like...
Oh my God, that would be great.
Wouldn't it? I feel like then you got both sides covered, because a lot of people don't like the holidays because for whatever reasons, personal reasons, sad things, bad year, whatever the case may be. They need something to reflect on too. They need some joy, and that joy means
Murder, disembodiment.
We need another Krampus
saying.
movie is what we need.
I love Krampus.
People being punished for being shitheads, not realizing it. Yeah.
The only thing about Krampus I didn't like is that they kind of retcon it at the very end. There's like no real stakes. I don't like that.
Well, maybe they do a second one and then all the stakes are very real.
Until the end, when they change it and they go, back.
No, the end of the movie, like as far as the version I saw, maybe I saw a director's cut or something where at the end it turned out that, at the end they were imprisoned in either like the Christmas glass Christmas ball globe or a snow globe. Because as you pan away, you see all the different families stuck in these globes. Maybe they start the next movie with the globes hitting the ground and everyone dying.
Is that what happened at the end?
That's how
Sounds like a way better movie than I remember.
Yeah, maybe I just retconned the ending myself to something better.
John is correct
Wait, hang on.
about the snow globe thing.
Let's go easy before we start throwing things out like John is correct. Because then we
'Cause
have
it's crazy.
an hour and a half
Yeah.
to 2 hours of continuous John reminding us how I was right at the beginning, remember?
Wait a minute. First of all, I never remind anyone of when I do something right. I only remind people when I've done something wrong. Second of all, I'll probably forget that I've done something right and right now.
I was also going to say, but it sounds like Aaron also is right.
Okay, now I'm back on board. Now I'm coming on.
Max awakens in his house on Christmas morning. Discovering his family alive and well downstairs, he thinks that what happened was just a nightmare. However, he unwraps a present to reveal Krampus's bauble, leaving the family with an ominous look on their faces as their memories of the horrific events slowly come back to them.
Exactly.
The camera pans out, revealing that the family is being watched through a snow globe by Krampus, along with hundreds of others in his collection.
So I was right.
But they're still alive, though.
Credit to Wikipedia. Yes, they're alive.
But they're trapped in hell. That's what I mean. Like, they all die, and then they come back to life. Yeah, you're trapped in hell, but he's still alive. I don't know. I guess we're both right, John. Congratulations. Let's shake hands or high fives or whatever we can do in COVID times.
Sword fight?
No, no sword fights.
Belts or no belts. All right, let's move on. I had a dude hunt me down, by the way. I don't know who you were, but if you're listening by chance, why would you? I don't know. But he hunted me down on Twitter just to tell me that my written review of Dune was a quote-unquote garbage-ass review. So that I just want to say,
I love it.
Respect, dude. Like, that's a lot of work just for that.
Yeah. I have to say that I did get a couple messages of how dare you not be on that episode because we know that you'd be on our side on Dune, which...
Oh, wrong? The side of wrong? Just kidding. I'm glad you enjoyed it if you enjoyed it.
Well, I did enjoy it, yes.
Cool. That was last week, though, but you weren't here, right? You weren't here?
I wasn't here, so my opinion doesn't matter.
That's how it works. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Got to show up.
If it's not on Memorex, it doesn't count.
Exactly. So whoever wrote to John, his opinion still doesn't matter.
Also, don't give this little troll too much credit. Your Twitter handle with a clickable link is at the bottom of the review. So they just have to read through the whole thing or scroll to the bottom to click on it.
Yeah, but he had to take the extra time. You know what I mean? To click it and go in there and actually Aaron.
That's fair.
Garbage ass review. And I'm just like, it really impacted him. And that's the kind of impact you want when you write something. You want someone to feel emotionally attached.
That's a lot of effort.
It was.
Also, I think I helped edit it. I don't think it was that bad.
I thought it was pretty fair, but I do think it was a garbage ass comment, but I still respect it. All right, let's get to our news roundup. Here's what's happened overall in the last week over film and television news. Now, keep in mind, the Rust situation's still going on. A lot of stuff flying out about that. I mean, everybody's pointing fingers now. It's becoming quite the event. That's going to be a movie of the week sometime soon. Do they still make movies of the week? Is that still a thing?
Why don't we do that?
Like
Hallmark.
a movie of the week?
Yeah.
Do you have money? How much Patreon you think we're getting at this point? Who are actors? I mean, Corey Feldman, we can get him, but that's about all I can think of.
John has a wig. He's ready to go. Oh, it's a dog. I thought it was a wig.
Are you talking about what was with him? You thought that was the wig he was holding, but it was a dog?
I thought that was a wig he was about to put on his head, and then it was a dog. Just a tiny little dog.
I don't understand what's happening on this episode already. Okay, moving on to the news. Chris Pratt is going to voice Garfield in a new animated movie, so he's got that and Mario going for him. He wants that Bill Murray money, I guess. This is what it sounds like when the doves fly. John Woo is returning to direct a no-dialogue action flick starring Joel Kinnaman called Silent Night. I would argue the best way to watch Joel Kinnaman. Lysette Alexis has been cast to lead the new National Treasure TV series. I think we can all agree that we still want Nick Cage to come back for movies, but we are getting a TV series on Disney Plus for National Treasure. Facebook changed its company name to Meta. It's not movie or TV related. It's just stupid, and we thought we'd mention it. Warner Brothers has announced that they will now evenly split their new movies between exclusively to theaters and exclusive to HBO Max, one of which is Batgirl, and it just cast Brendan Fraser as the villain, so woohoo to Brendan Fraser, Renaissance. And that bleeping Carol Baskins is suing Netflix over Tiger King 2. She's not happy about that. And finally, the Boondock Saints are getting together for a third movie. Of all of that, Amanda, I'm just going to let you have it because it's your favorite movie of all time. What do you think of Boondock Saints 3?
I am excited it's finally happening. I'm cautiously optimistic because we did see the second one, and while it is fun, it is not a great movie by any means, and it does not have the significance or impact of the first one. And I guess the only other thing I want to say about this is related to the article that came out announcing this news, where whoever the writer was said that Duffy was
Troy Duffy, the writer-director, right?
Troy Duffy, the writer and director, was like a modest and humble guy. And I just want to know, was Troy the writer of that article? Because he is the least modest and humble guy I have ever seen in Hollywood. It is hysterical
made one
to me.
movie and he's like, I am the best there's ever been.
Why can't I get more? I'm not getting many offers at Hollywood. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, other than a cat blowing up, what really did you accomplish? It's fun, but... And here's the quote, Amanda. This is actually Amanda pulled this quote specifically. This is a proud comeback moment for Troy Duffy, a storyteller who has demonstrated humility and resilience in the face of adversity. Is that like hashtag sarcasm? I don't.
Hold on. You got to continue reading it. There's more.
Oh, that's where I stopped. That was your quote.
Oh, okay. And emerged more focused and determined than ever to continue the Boondock Saints story. We're proud to back him in his authentic vision for this franchise. This was Yvette Yates Reddick who added this information, and I just cannot stop laughing. First of all, he's emerged more focused and determined than ever.
Yeah.
Yet how long has it been since the second movie?
That's why he's so
and
focused.
How long have we been waiting on the third one?
He's focused to pay the light bill. That's what it is. He doesn't have heat. And he's like, I'm very focused to get number 3. I need a job, people.
But seriously, I feel like we should talk about, because I think all of us here are fans, we should talk about what the growing intention apparently is to turn the Saints into a John Wick type global action franchise.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say to turn the Saints into both of them having the exact same face.
No, but
Ouch.
That is what the writer of this Deadline article, Mike Fleming Jr., put in here.
Wait, a global international franchise akin to John. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the idea. Boondock Saints, but I dare say I don't know Troy Duffy can do this. I haven't seen anything in his obvious collection of work that would indicate that he is the right man for that job.
You're talking about the 2 movies, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Two that I'm sure he's done other stuff that he's not going to mention in this article either.
I don't think I want this, though, because it misdirects from the original film so much.
How so? What was the deeper underlying intention of the first film?
That's the thing is that it wasn't deeper. That's the thing is that it wasn't deeper. It wasn't this like well thought out enterprise of people who came together. Now, I guess you could say, oh, it's been so many years. They started, a following of people who became vigilantes, et cetera, and assassins. But to me, it was always about these 2, excuse my language, dumbasses who happen to get away with something, and they do it and they're like, you know what? This is fun and we're good at this. And oh gosh, who is this guy with a beard? Let's hang out with him. Let's all go to the strip club and kill people. Like, it was never about intentionality in terms of like, we're assassins. It was, we've got guns. We're quite good at this, except when we see a cat. And then we'll see what happens.
See, we will. That's my favorite moment in that entire movie.
An amazing moment.
I think you're not giving them enough credit, because I think part of what they're trying to convey to you is not that they're hapless idiots, just who happen to be good at something. It's that with this whole like connection to the prayer and the whole religious aspect of it is that they're answering a calling to better the world by going after bad people. And that's why, even though they're kind of hapless idiots, they always seems to work out for them, with the exception of poor Rocco, which he pretty much he exemplifies the whole fact that he doesn't believe in the same thing or the same way that they did, so he died.
And somehow he still came back.
He was like a figment of their imagination, I think, at the time, or
but he still came
spirit.
Back. So he'll come back in the third.
Well, you got to throw him in the movie.
Do you though?
I loved him. I loved his character.
I'm really excited about National Treasure gaining some ground and having a star. I have no idea who Lisette Alexis is, but the fact that she is a practical unknown getting a Disney Plus series, which, let's face it, Disney Plus is throwing out some really real quality stuff as far as its content.
Are they though?
It really hurts me to say that.
I'm not on board with that. They've got a few shows. Some of them have been decent. Most of them are just okay. The Turner and Hooch show, I was bored, silly. I don't like the lead. And I mean, aside from that, the Mighty Ducks wasn't that good. It's a whole lot of retreads of what their whole lineup is. It's like pulling off of other characters. Other than,
so they have other stuff than just the Marvel shows and the Disney shows and the Star Wars shows?
But they don't have many of those. So, I mean, I'm just saying, whenever people say Disney Plus has a lot of great content, they have like 10 things. That's not a lot of great content to me. I know they have more than that, but they don't have more than that people are actually watching. Fair?
Okay, that's fair. Okay. I only was counting the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff because I forgot that they have anything else.
So did they. Sometimes, it seems like. But I'm with you. I am looking forward to this. Anything where it's adventure and kind of looking through history, I find that interesting. And I'm sure each season will be like one historical mystery that they piece together. And I think that would be fun. I just miss Nick Cage in that.
Yeah, I think that's what really appealed to me originally was Nick Cage in that role. Because I'm not a huge history buff. That's not really my thing. I do like the heist aspect of it, though. So if we can still include that and it's like, you know, sort of like an Indiana Jones meets Ocean's 11 with a female, cool, I'm down.
I will definitely give that a try. Finally, something on Disney Plus to watch. I thought the subscription was going to waste.
You thought your 3-year early advance payment was like for nothing.
Years, and I watch one episode a week for 6 weeks or something, and then I don't watch anything for 2 more months. Then I watch something else for 6 weeks. I don't watch Disney Plus that much. I really, really don't.
Me either.
Bear Grylls. I watch all of Bear Grylls. There you go. He's on
a lot of what I watch on there is stuff that I already own. So like worst case scenario, I'd have to go to the DVD collection and pull it out.
I think I've only watched the Star Wars or the which not even all the Star Wars stuff, just like The Mandalorian and then all the Marvel shows. That's it.
I think that's what most people have watched. There's a few people you're like, oh, I saw the Turner and Hooch, I saw Mighty Ducks, but I really don't see many people talking about those. I see more people talking about Ted Lasso. That's in far less people's homes than anything than Disney Plus. Disney Plus is second only to Netflix, but I rarely hear anyone talking about their content.
I was going to say, I've gotten to the point most recently where Apple TV Plus, whatever it is, has exceeded Disney Plus for me in terms of cost, the value of the subscription.
Right. What they need to do is do some cross content stuff where they steal from Netflix is what they need to do. Like take your Star Wars characters, cross them over with some Netflix stuff. Like make a U version of Yoda where Yoda is creeping on people from all across the galaxy. And he just, he gets obsessed and then he does some Jedi stuff, makes them do things they know. Hey, Yoda, that's wrong. Yeah, I'm saying darken Yoda up.
I kind of like it. I kind of want to stalker Yoda.
Yeah.
It sounds naughty and fun.
Like
but if there's anyone in the Star Wars universe who would be a stalker, it would definitely be Yoda.
Exactly. One for you, Will.
Yes.
What the hell was that?
That was creepy.
The only thing I'm really excited about is that HBO Max kind of like laid the foundation so people can stop talking about it. They're going to have half their movie slate are going to go to theaters exclusively and half are going to go to HBO Max exclusively. So now it's laid out. They don't have any of those problems anymore. And they've addressed it with talent. The assumption based on everything I've read is that their big movies or studio tentpoles, that sort of thing, that's going to a theater. And then they're going to make some smaller stuff for HBO Max, which is pretty much what every studio is going to do. Disney and the rest of them. Makes sense.
Cool. We don't have to talk about this for another 2 years, hopefully.
Thank God. We're over
It'll
that.
be 5 minutes.
We've got some reviews, so we're going to get right into them. First up, our upcoming films. One releases on video on demand. That's Ida Red on November 5th. One is playing in limited release and then expands to video on demand, I believe, November 9th, which is Violet, and I believe contender for Best Movie of the Year. So let's start with Violet.
It's a film about a guiding voice inside our main character's head that's been lying to her about everything. It stars Olivia Munn, Luke Bracey, and Justin Theroux, and also has Jason Dohring in there if you're a Veronica Mars fan for about 2 scenes. He really promoted it like he was weird. Like a real supporting actor in this. So I was like, I got to check it out. And
he's supporting. He's part of the movie. That's what
he is.
And it's written and directed by Justine Bateman.
Yes, and that
Justine Bateman. Yeah.
The way that they're trying to get across what it's like to be somebody with mental illness, with depression, with anxiety, but also just the impacts of statements and words from years past, the way that her life interactions have affected her for the rest of her life. And I thought it was so brilliantly done because you actually, and it's a little distracting at first. It was for me. It threw me off. I was like, I was not expecting this. but they basically have like a separate written on the screen, like words and script, what is actually processing through her head when she hears something or she sees something. So what her natural reaction is. And she basically almost has to like retrain and rework her brain, which is how anxiety works, to think differently.
I was a little bit taken aback originally because when you first start watching it, Justine Bateman really goes with a very specific style.
Yeah.
And you've got multiple things happening. There's actually color shading to represent when she is losing control, when her anger is getting to the best of her, where the whole screen starts to go red. There is Justin Theroux, who basically represents her inner dialogue, her internal voice. You know, that voice that everybody has where it tells you, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't be that guy. Don't do that thing. You don't want to say that to your boss. All these things
they don't mean that.
Yeah. It's all the internal dialogue that stops us from doing sometimes dumb things and stops us also from being courageous in many respects. And also the words that are written on the screen, which are kind of what she kind of wants to do. It's kind of like detailing her id, if you will, and what she wants to be, like the person she wants to be, and the things she wants to do and say and whatnot. And it's like all these things are going on at once. And I thought at first, I'm like, well, this is jarring. Like, what the? We have too much on screen. We have too much going on.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We don't. We just have to understand how all the pieces fit. And
your brain manages to compartmentalize all of that. So like
it does, yeah. As you go, it really does.
You get used to it.
And once I understood exactly how the movie was playing out, I freaking loved it. I just thought this was so creative and so innovative. And I know we talk about mental health, but I think this is just how people in general are, and how we're constantly trying to overcome our own preconceived notions and what we think we should be, and how we think we should act, and how much are we willing to take from our boss when they're being horribly negative? How much are we willing to take from our mate? How much do we deserve, and how much should we just not accept? You know, there's so many different variants to a person's component of thought that is factored into this movie, and I've always thought Olivia Munn was fine. She's a fine actress, but I've never really, probably since Newsroom. I mean, I really liked her on Newsroom. I thought she was great on Newsroom, but she's done a lot of other stuff where I just thought it was middling. I didn't necessarily, maybe it was The Project, whatever. She's fantastic here. Like, she's freaking amazing.
She is.
I was astonished how good Olivia Munn is in this movie. I was pleasantly, not only just surprised, but kind of disappointed in myself for never seeing that. Like, she has a lot of potential and she could do some great things. And I really, really hope this opens up the doors for her, because she was fantastic in this. And I really love the style. I think it's not going to be for everybody, because it is very creative. It's very innovative. It's very unique. It's different. A lot of people don't like different. They just want a normal kind of storytelling method. This is not normal, or there's a lot of pieces. And Justin Theroux, we're probably not giving him enough credit. What a great freaking internal dialogue voice.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm like, that's what my brain's done 100 times.
Yep.
100 times it stopped me from going after that thing or being that guy that I knew I should have been. You know, I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, it's almost like you get a real representation of what it's like. At least for me, I've always felt like maybe I'm a little crazy for what my internal dialogue says and what it's done. And then this makes you feel like, okay, maybe we're not. Maybe we're all just a little bit weird, and this is just the normal. So I really enjoyed it.
Do you agree with me on the Olivia Munn revelation? Yeah?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought she was great.
And Luke Bracey. What a charming guy. Like, it was nice to have an interest, a friend in a movie that doesn't feel fake. Like, he just felt genuine and real and warm. So what do you give Violet?
I gave this one $8.
I gave it $8.50.
Okay. You really, really liked it.
I did. I don't go high very often, but I went high.
And so next up is Ida Red, which is a film that Aaron saw. Career criminal Ida Red Walker, Oscar winner Melissa Leo, is battling a terminal illness while serving a 25-year prison sentence in the outlaw state of Oklahoma, which sounds terrible. She has little time left to live. It sounds like it gets worse. Under Ida's tutelage, her son Wyatt Walker, played by Josh Hartnett, oh my goodness, has sustained the family business alongside his uncle Dallas Walker, played by Frank Grillo. This just keeps getting better. When a job goes awry, local detective and Wyatt's brother-in-law, Collier, played by George Carroll, is joined by FBI agent Lawrence Twiley, played by William Forsythe, to track down the responsible party. This sounds a lot of fun. Is it a lot of fun? Or is it just weird?
It's fun enough. I think there were moments where I was really waiting for it to get a little bit crazier or a little bit wilder, a little bit weirder, and it doesn't quite cross the edge. There's one specific scene where I'm like, okay, this is the moment where the movie kicks into overdrive, where Frank Grillo as Dallas Walker, who is easily the highlight. Like, I'm not just because I'm a Frank Grillo fan. He's just the baddest ass in this whole movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty easy to stand out. But he has this scene where he is, how do I say it without really spoiling something? There's a moment where he's pretty close to murdering someone and he does a dance. That's the easiest way to say it. And it's just this wild, bonkers moment where I'm like, what the frack is going on? And it's a great scene, and he's fantastic in it because it's just so out there. And I was hoping the movie would continue down that road, and it kind of went back to its general thriller roots and stayed there for the rest of the movie. So it came off the tracks a little bit and then got right back down to earth. And that was, so maybe it was a disappointment, and that's just on my part for getting too excited for how crazy they were going to let Frank Grillo go. But overall, it's very much in the vein of Heat-esque thriller. It's a heist movie.
Okay. All right.
And Josh Hartnett, it was nice to see Josh Hartnett back because I love Josh Hartnett and I feel like he hasn't been in enough stuff lately. But he does a very solid job as Wyatt Walker. In the film, you ultimately think it's about just doing heists and trying to get away with it in this small town family that kind of runs this town. But ultimately, it's also about a son wanting to see his mother again.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
So if the full price of admission were $10, what are you giving Ida Red?
I give it $5.50. It is just shy of being really good. Like I said, I just feel like it needed to take that extra step because Grillo was there, man. He was ready to do it. Like, I'm telling you, that scene is just like, what the hell is happening right now? And then it never really comes back to that level. And that was, I don't want to say disappointment, but it wasn't a highlight when you don't come back to how good that was.
Okay.
And the end feels a little stretched, a little stretched thin. Like there's a couple things that happen. I'm like, that seems dumb. Why would you do that? That's, so it has those moments at the end. And that's disappointing to a degree. Okay, man. And now we're moving into Last Night in Soho, which is about an aspiring fashion designer who is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer named Sandy. But the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the dark past start to crack and splinter into something darker. And just to kind of explain it, she goes to a boarding house, she gets a room, and she starts dreaming of Anya Taylor-Joy, who was Sandy, in the past, and then starts to feel like she's becoming her. And that's Thomasin McKenzie plays Eloise. She's the one that is in the present day. And slowly but surely, the paths start to conflict. And it's an interesting dynamic. It's directed by Edgar Wright. Amanda, Last Night in Soho, you've been very, very excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is much different than I think the trailers allude to in many respects.
Yeah, I would say it leans more thriller and mystery. Because you're really trying to understand who is this Sandy character played by Anya Taylor-Joy? Why and how is she connected to Eloise? And what does this mean? There's some sort of element of like they truly have a connection somehow. And you don't understand where that comes from and what it means. But when you're so immersed in somebody else's story that you emulate it, that you're just really dedicated to seeing, I would say, even when you're watching a movie and you have to, or a TV show and you have to see the ending of it, it's that same kind of addiction where you're like, I need to know what happens and what's going on. And that's kind of the trap that Eloise is in. And what starts to create this spiral for her. And it's following that and understanding more about this dynamic for Sandy and where she gets to.
Now, it's a very gimmicky dynamic and when you're explaining it. So you're explaining it to me, it just sounds very like, what the hell? Like she goes and she dreams and she's in the past. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it does, I would say, because I saw it too. I would argue it does make sense in the end, but do you agree with it? Do you feel like it wasn't so much gimmicky as it appears that way until you get to the end and it all kind of comes together?
Yeah, it definitely concludes strongly. I think there's an element of surprise if you, maybe not surprise if you're paying attention and you're looking for it, but if you're just following along with the story, you may be surprised by where we get to in the end. But it does make sense when you track it back. I think we talked about one aspect, which I obviously can't go into detail about to keep it spoiler free. But there is one aspect that creates a little confusion on how it works, the possibility of how something works, and if that really tracks properly in terms of just some of the aspects of the film.
I think you clarified it as much as you can without really spoiling it.
Saying anything at all.
and so what did you think of the cast? Because you do have Matt Smith as Jack, and he's kind of her initial love interest in the past. You have Diana Rigg as Miss Collins, who is her boarder in the present. But really, it's the two ladies. It's Mackenzie and Taylor-Joy. Those are the two that really carry the entire film. How were the lead performances for you?
Well, the first thing I was concerned about is with Anya Taylor-Joy having such a strong and growing presence as an actress, is she going to outshine Thomasin Mackenzie, who is kind of she's supposed to be our main character. They kind of co-lead together, I would say, but I was worried that Anya might overshadow her. And I didn't really feel that. I felt like they both were very strong in their performances and handled them separately, yet still tethered in some way. And so I really, really enjoyed their dynamic. Matt Smith was hauntingly engaging. I had a lot of mixed feelings about his character, especially in the beginning. And I don't know if you felt the same way, where I felt one way about him and then I switched, and then I felt another way about him and then I kind of switched. And so I sat on the edge of, how do I really feel about this guy? Until we had some concrete proof of if he's a good or a bad guy.
Well, I felt exactly the same about him throughout the entire movie. So that part didn't change. I won't say which way that was, but I will say I disagree with you on the leads. I think Taylor-Joy did rise above Mackenzie. I feel like she is just more charisma, star power, wattage, and when she hits that song and downtown, and it's just like, you just lose your breath. She's captivating, absolutely captivating. And I don't think Mackenzie comes close to that. Now it's a completely different part as well, but I do think Taylor-Joy perfectly captured what that character should have been. And just really brought it to life and made her pop. Like Sandy is like just stays with you after you leave, and you're like, wow, that was a heck of a story we got.
And that's kind of where I still feel like they captured their roles to a similar height. Anya Taylor-Joy's character as Sandy is supposed to be in your face. She's supposed to take your breath away. She's supposed to be the most idyllic person that you could find. Women want to replicate her, men want to be with her, is sort of how it is. And for the character of Eloise, she is much more introverted. She's not confident. She really struggles with understanding and accepting who she is and some of her, historical past. And they really tie in a dark aspect where her mother had died by suicide. And so that's kind of like a reoccurring theme for her, is struggling with emotions and making sure that she doesn't end up the same as her mom is really what her and her grandma are worried about with this trip. So I feel like Mackenzie really lived up to that. And when she emulates the fear and the terror, she gives me all of that. to the same level that Anya Taylor-Joy gives me enchanting and seductive and
confident.
And yeah, confident. So they are not on the same level in terms of what they're giving you, in terms of what you're seeing. But to me, and this is just my opinion, I felt like they both gave really high-level performances for what their character was supposed to be.
All right. So what do you give Last Night in Soho, which is playing in theaters? I mean, I don't know how long it'll be there, but it's playing.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that there's not more people going out to see it. I mean, it's from the director, Edgar Wright, so I really expected more people to be seeing it, but I don't know, give it a chance. I really liked it. I would give it, and I've kind of sat on this number, but I would probably give it an 8.
Okay. If $10 full price admission, I would give it about $7.50, so I'm right there with you.
Okay.
I really was thoroughly enjoying. In fact, spoiler alert, me and my buddy Tyler, we were deciding what movie to see initially before I saw this one. And he's like, we decided on Antlers between this and Last Night in Soho. And boy, were we wrong.
And speaking of Antlers, which is a movie where in an isolated Oregon town, a middle school teacher and her sheriff brother become embroiled with her enigmatic student, whose dark secrets lead to terrifying encounters with a legendary ancestral creature who came before them. Horror movies love to prey on the distortion of innocence of children. And I know you can be a little bit critical of child actors because they do have some expectation to live up to for you.
Yeah, I expect them to act. Yes.
So how does Jeremy T. Thomas, and yes, he has a T in his middle name as a child actor, as Lucas, stand up to the adored actors like Jesse Plemons and Kerry Russell?
Oh, I think he's actually a really solid actor, young actor. I mean, he plays a very dour, dark, abused kid. So, I mean, he's already got a lot of struggles and tortures of his own, inner tortures. And I think he does a really good job. Jeremy T. Thomas does very good. Kerry Russell's a standout. I mean, she really does a wonderful performance. I think she's a very underrated actress. She's never really gotten the applause she deserves in her career, I don't think. The Americans, maybe. But overall,
That's fair.
She's just a very good actress and kind of is underrated in that respect. Jesse Plemons, always a good actor. So he's definitely an attribute as well. So I have zero problems with any of the acting. There's a high quality of talent in front of the camera.
How fat is Jesse Plemons?
Stop
in this?
it.
Stop. We don't fat shame just because you got skinny.
What? I'm just asking because, like, the fatter he gets, the better he gets.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll go back to my corner.
There you go.
Bye.
No, you don't have to do that. But I do want to ask you, Aaron, and please try to hold off on the negative feedback because I know there is some and I will get to it. But first, I want to know what elements, if any, positively stood out for you. Maybe it's the music or score, cinematography, anything?
The creature's modeled, I mean, it's a Wendigo. It's Native American history is what they're pulling from here. And it's a Wendigo is the mythical creature. So the actual creature design that we see is very cool. When you finally do see the creature, it's very cool. It's a great design. I think the effects look great. When there is an attack scene, it's vicious. It's really, I mean, riveting and a little nerving. So, I mean, I think those scenes really, really play well. There you go. There's positives.
Okay. So I have to ask you now, because Antlers is directed by Scott Cooper, who directed Hostels and Black Mass.
Mm-hmm.
So for a director you've mostly enjoyed, at least those two films of, what went wrong here?
Well, and I just want to, in case people are wondering, I've been very excited about this movie. Like, I've been looking forward to it. It got delayed, I think
2 years.
Yeah, a year and a half ago. And I've been just waiting for it to show up. So it isn't a matter of anything I didn't want to see. And I know who Scott Cooper is and I know how he directs. One thing that always bothers me is he does spend too much time on a scene. Now, sometimes that can work great. Like sometimes if you're letting a scene breathe and you're letting the characters develop or you're letting the moment develop, that works great. But if you have a lot of shots just hanging out in the air and nothing's happening, that's dead air. That's pacing. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of slow, achingly slow pans around yards and around rooms and around, where things aren't really happening. Characters are just walking forward. That doesn't need to be a minute every time, man. Like, it's cool once, not 10 times.
Hold on. I got to interrupt you here.
Sure.
This movie is only an hour and 40 minutes long, and you're telling me that it was paced so...
Yes.
Oh, no.
It's too long.
That's terrible.
And it's really... I think my heart... It's not just that. I mean, pacing hit or miss, sure. If a movie was like like I said, the attack scenes are good enough to where I can let some of that slide. I mean, God, I've seen a million horror movies. And trust me, I will let a lot of things slide. Don't come at me and say, oh, I just don't know a good horror. No, I know a good horror movie. This ain't it. It has a kernel of a really great idea, and then it delivers it in just all the wrong ways. It's hard to go into. I don't want to spoil it. That's the tricky part. But the way that they tell the story is just dumb. And I get what they're trying to do, but none of it makes any sense. Characters do dumb things. And I mean, for a horror movie, do dumb things. And they make no damn sense whatsoever. It takes so long for anybody to piece together anything that's happening here. And it's just like, what the hell is going on in this town? Why is everyone a complete idiot? Except Kerry Russell. She's the only one that apparently can think. So, I mean, there's just a lot of that and slow, agonizing pans and fade ins, fade outs. And I mean, it's just like, it's directed like it's way deeper than it is. And I think that's a problem. And the story just does not work. There's so much potential here. It just doesn't deliver. That's very disappointing.
Yikes. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid to ask you, but if the full price of admission were $10, what are you giving Antlers? $3.
$3.
My.
Wow.
Yeah. And okay.
Lo siento.
And the worst sin that a movie can make is to build up a mythological character. And when you finally have a confrontation, potentially, with said character, you apparently can take it out with a whiff. I won, I'm out of here. I mean, it's so easy and ridiculous. And it's just like, that was it? Well, then why did anybody try anything else? Like, it was just so simple, and it was idiotic, and it just bothered me. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I think I'll pass.
I recommend you pass. Yeah. And I recommend Jesse Plemons passes the cheeseburger. Sorry.
Oh my God, not you too.
Sorry. I'm fat. I could say things like that, I think.
You're not fat anymore. You two have both recovered.
I'm still fat. Okay, John, I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm warming up a seat right there next to you, next to me.
Thankfully, my ass is big enough where my seat's still warm. And lastly, I am throwing this one in after the episode has actually already gone out, but I'm throwing this in. So it's just me reviewing this film. The movie I want to talk about is The Beta Test, which is playing in limited release and on video on demand November 5th. It's directed by Jim Cummings and PJ McCabe, and also written by Jim Cummings and PJ McCabe, starring Jim Cummings and PJ McCabe. I see a trend. It's also produced by Vanishing Angle. These guys have done The Wolf of Snow Hollow. They've done Thunder Road, also with Jim Cummings. And we've also had Jim Cummings on an interview with The Hollywood Outsider a couple of years ago. So go find that, because he's an interesting guy to talk to. And what he's doing is he's trying to make movies in an independent voice, but, and obviously from an independent financial standpoint, because there's not much money, but he's making them look like Hollywood movies. So these are really well done independent films that I highly recommend. The two I mentioned, Thunder Road and Wolf of Snow Hollow, and now The Beta Test. I mean, it's like a trifecta of success here. And so this one's about a married Hollywood agent who receives a mysterious letter for an anonymous sexual encounter and then becomes ensnared in a sinister world of lying, infidelity, and digital data. And it's really interesting. Like, it is a really intriguing concept where random stranger receives an envelope, basically says, like, what do you like to do in the bedroom? And then you check off whatever it is and send it off. And then basically you get a hotel key and you go and you wear a blindfold and have, a liaison with a stranger. It seems like something that would happen in today's age, doesn't it? I mean, it really feels like this is a modern take on where dating is headed. Now, what I really dig about this film is that it's really playing on satire partially, but also it's kind of twisty. It's a little Twilight Zone here, maybe even a little Black Mirror, you know? I mean, it's interesting in that respect because it's playing with expectations, it's playing with tropes, it's playing with data. I can't really explain that without spoiling parts of the film, but your personal data and your personal social media preferences all factor into this. So it's a really intriguing concept. And also, he manages to put Hollywood on its ear and kind of just say and scream to the world, agents don't matter. All they want to do is package talent. Like the whole foundation for what they're there for is no longer needed. Let talent survive. Let talent win. And also for all the fallacies about Hollywood wanting to exercise the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, they're still letting them succeed within their environment. And it's interesting because if you really, really work within the Hollywood system or you work outside of it and looking in, whatever their take is, they're always the last to really get on board with what's right. I mean, they're the first to speak out about it, but they're always the last to get on board, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. So I think The Beta Test is a great film. It is really pointed. Jim Cummings is as great as ever. He's always right on top of it. I think he is one of the best filmmakers working today currently. And unfortunately, he's probably not getting as much hype as deserved, but everything he's doing is very independent. Now, I'm sure he could join the studio system and maybe get some stuff done there. I don't know how popular it would be because a lot of the stuff is more about really flawed characters, flawed reactions. Like these are people that are hard to like in many respects. And he does a really admirable job of playing them. And of course, if you've seen his career, there's always a scene in every one of his movies where he has a really uncomfortable outburst somewhere randomly in an open space. It's like, that's his signature. He's really good at it. He's really good at long takes too. But there's just always something fun. And as soon as the moment starts where I'm like, oh, he's having an outburst, this is going to get awkward, he sure does. Like he's really good at going along on awkward, uncomfortable outbursts. And I'm kind of a fan of that. I like weird stuff. So The Beta Test is one that I highly recommend. It's in limited theaters. It's also on video on demand, so you can watch it at home if that's your preference. As of November 5th, which by the time you're hearing this, it should be November 5th. I really want to recommend it. I thought it was really fun and really intriguing and also unsettling because a lot of this stuff feels like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. So if you're looking for something that tackles social media engineering, something that tackles infidelity and rage and someone that's struggling with their own person and lying for their life. I mean, that's basically what agents do is they just lie all day, every day about who they are and what they want. And Hollywood, how fake Hollywood can be, the behind the scenes aspects of Hollywood. I think you're really going to enjoy The Beta Test. If $10 full price for admission, I give it $8. And I would probably say it's my favorite. Thunder Road, I absolutely love Thunder Road. So all three of these films are great. Put it that way. I'm happy with, go find any of them, but Beta Test is the newest one, so watch that. So see The Beta Test. Now we'll move on. All right, remember, you can find more information at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Join our Facebook group or we're on Twitter at @BuyPopcorn. We are going to build a perfect holiday movie here in 1 second. But first, I want to tell you about Stillwater. From Academy Award-winning director Tom McCarthy comes the mesmerizing and emotionally powerful suspense film Stillwater, starring Academy Award winner Matt Damon, Camille Cotton, Abigail Breslin. You can experience the edge-of-your-seat story that critics are calling brilliant. Own Stillwater now on digital and Blu-ray, which includes all new exclusive bonus content not seen before in theaters. And for my review, when Stillwater came out, I can tell you that Stillwater was more about understanding the choices we make as human beings and if we can live with those choices or will we learn from them to make different ones. I really, really enjoyed the movie, and it took several well-scripted turns. So definitely recommend Stillwater. And if you want to win your own copy of Stillwater, you can, your own Blu-ray copy. Email us at contests@The Hollywood Outsider with the subject line Stillwater. Real simple, right? That's all you got to do. Your name and the subject line Stillwater, contests@thehollywoodoutsiders.com, and we will enter you in the contest. And 5 lucky winners will get a copy of Stillwater on Blu-ray, as long as you live in the U.S., because that's where we're mailing them to. Okay, now we're going to move on to our From the Outside In topic. Building a perfect holiday movie. Now, we have built a perfect found footage movie. We have built a perfect Marvel movie. We have built a perfect horror movie, I think.
Yep.
So we've built a lot of movies, but we've never done the holiday movie. So that's what we're going to do this time. And what that means is we're going to discuss the highs and the lows of holiday films, what works for us, what turns us off completely about the entire genre. And then we're going to put together our personal take on the genre itself and each build our own perfect holiday film tailored to our preferences, one would imagine. So right off the gate, what do you love in your holiday movies, John?
When I think about that and think about holiday movies, I go through the list of the holiday movies that I love the most, which, I come to Home for the Holidays, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Scrooge, Love Actually. And the things that I've discovered that I like about are, like, one of the things that kind of links them all together is the common theme of people who are faced with some sort of adversity and learn how to open themselves up to love and hope a lot more. And I like seeing that, no matter if it's done in a cartoonish way or a very serious way, but I like seeing people learn how to be more magical, more hopeful, more loving, and that's what I like to see in it.
I like a lot of love. I feel like it's not Christmas if love is not in the air. It can be romantic love, which is, something that I enjoy any time of year, but familial love is super important. You have to be around your family. You have to want to be around your family. I feel like it's weird. Although it can be true that there are some dysfunctional families that just don't want to be with each other at Christmas. That doesn't make me feel good.
Some. That's like most
okay,
of them.
A lot of them.
Let's be honest. Like, every time people get together, like, God, when do we get to leave?
Oh, no, I don't feel that way at all.
Oh, me neither. I was just speaking for others.
But that moment when you're with your family and then everything's a disaster, I don't like that sort of thing. So I like when the families want to be with each other. They, maybe there's something that's distracting them and then they find their way back to, recognizing what the spirit of Christmas or the holiday is all about. I'm also a really big fan of the visual decorations. If I don't see snow, like if we're in Florida, it's not Christmas or holiday for me. So we're going to need to be near the snow, or it's got to be cold. I've got to feel like this is winter time.
Are you like that in the real world too? I mean, for holidays, you just have, if it's not Christmas, if you don't feel cold.
Yeah, I that could be a Midwest thing. Like, I've grown up in the Midwest, so Christmas to me is associated with winter. But I think for at least a lot of us, when we think about Christmas or the holidays, we think about a winter wonderland. And so that to me is synonymous with happiness, with the Yuletide cheer, with all that good stuff. So for me, I have to see it. And the prettier, the better. Like, if I just see a couple things in the background, I'm hardly going to be interested. I want it to fill the whole screen. I want it to look like they spent $8,000 on decorations.
Jesus, you're demanding. And apparently you love families that are bankrupt.
Like Home Alone.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's just the worst family. I don't care what anybody says, that they are the worst family ever. How do you get to New York or wherever before you realize your kid's not with you? There's zero excuses for that. Insane to me.
Create a checklist, man.
Do you need a checklist to remember your child? I don't think
there's a lot of people there. If they just do if you're a teacher or whatever and you go on a field trip, you have to check mark that you have all the people.
Yeah.
If there's a fire in your building, your boss has to count your head on a little checklist and account for you. If you have to struggle with accounting for your child, make a list and check it twice, like Santa.
I wonder,
kids aren't that important.
Do you think bosses do it like parents do, where they don't count people they don't really like? Yeah, Bobby was here, I thought. Weird.
I know I don't.
Ouch. Ouch. Anything else,
Why
Amanda?
did you sound like E.T.?
I don't know. Don't judge me. Anything else?
It's a holiday movie of sorts.
Yeah, it's love. Loving family, right? Dysfunctional,
Sure.
but loving,
Yeah.
just like you said.
I'm also a really big fan of comedy in my holiday movies.
You want upbeat,
It's
you
just-
want joy, you want...
Yes,
Okay.
I want it to be happy. I want to laugh with it. And I also really enjoy rekindling. So if there's any sort of like brokenness in any sort of friendship, relationship, anything, I want that to be fixed because then it's like, oh, they're happy again. That's inevitably what the movie should make me feel by the end of it, is happy, or I love it if I cry. You get extra points if you cry, though that's not hard to achieve.
See, I'm with you on 2 points already. The loving family and the happy ending. Believe it or not, I have to have a happy ending. Or I prefer it. So I'm with you on that. That's good.
Okay.
You know what's
So what else is on yours?
You know what's funny about holiday movies is you can say it's the only holiday where everybody knows you mean Christmas.
Yes, but I did throw in a Thanksgiving movie myself, so...
Well, that's because you got to
Ooh.
be... Every time we do one of these, he has to do something. I'm different. Artist. Freaking artist. All right.
I am different.
So
Don't you make fun of me?
the stuff that I love in my holiday movies that really we mean Christmas, but apparently we also mean Thanksgiving is... But I would say Thanksgiving falls into it. It's same kind of concept. Family, holiday gatherings. I want, contrary to Amanda, I want snarky wit. I do not like cheesy. I can't stand A Christmas Story. I do not like that movie. And there's a reason I do not like the humor at all.
I don't like it either.
It's just not funny to me. I like edgy comedy in my holiday movies. Even Christmas Vacation has some of that. You know, Chevy Chase is... he's trying to be a great dad for most of the movie, but when he loses it, that's what, to me, real people talk like. So maybe not publicly and maybe not kidnapping their boss and all that stuff, but the other stuff. So I like a little edgy comedy, like wit. I want a real dilemma with some emotional heft. Like it doesn't have to be dire, but I need something a little bit more substantive than Tommy isn't getting the toy he wants for Christmas and I need to murder strangers to get it for him. I don't like.
Does that movie exist?
I mean, that Arnold
Probably.
Schwarzenegger one's pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Jingle All the Way, he would have killed people for it. Sure. Just to get that.
That's probably
Some would
true.
say Sinbad barely survived that movie.
Puppies and little kids. I'm a sucker for puppies and little kids.
Oh, yeah.
Holidays are always better with puppies and children, right? But
Yeah.
Well, puppies.
honestly, John, that's honestly the only time I want little kids around. That's it. Every other time, you're like, oh, I'm going to bring little Billy over. I'd rather you didn't. I really would rather you didn't. Well, no, he's so cute. Yeah, I did kids. So,
But little Billy is going to be the only kid around, and everybody else is going to get fucking sloshed. And you don't need to bring Billy around for that.
exactly. And the worst part is, people always think they're so strict, and then their kid runs around wild, and they're like, "Oh, he's just had too much sugar today." No, you are a lousy parent. That's ultimately what happened here. Tell your child no. So I think I need more no's in my Christmas movies. I need a kid who's not
Right.
spoiled. It's very important. But I do like puppies and little kids. Believe it or not, I love a good song in my holiday movies.
I don't believe it.
That's a good one.
It's true. It can be winsome, like a carol, or a musical number out of nowhere. Just good musical vibes. I mean, just a good soundtrack. But I want something musical, some moment, whatever it is. And if you can do it with Chris Isaac, that's a bonus. Just a heads up.
I love the ending of Scrooge when they're doing the sing along and he's talking at the audience of the movie.
Oh, I don't even love that movie, but I love that moment.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
It's a great moment. It's a great moment. There's something about just sitting together. It's a Wonderful Life when they're all singing at the end. I mean, together, and it's just, well, not really singing, but they're celebrating together. And then to me, it just feels like one of those moments. And I love anything that gives me that feeling. What was that? Daddy's Home 2, I think it was. It was a Christmas one. And didn't they have like
Oh, that one is so funny.
a big
They're both
song moment
funny.
in it?
Bad Moms Christmas was pretty great.
I don't know the answer to your question, Aaron, but John, I agree.
Bad Moms. I wish they would make another one of those. I like those. And those are my big ones for what I love in holiday movies. And Amanda already talked about happy ending and loving family. Those are the other things. So what's a complete turn off?
Saccharin, really. Anything that has too much saccharin to it, or people who
Sappy?
look like What's that?
Sappy, like sappy, you know.
Yeah,
cheesy.
way too sappy, not too when they take the idea of how the realism and make everyone just so joyous. Like I like the idea of people. That's where I this is how I the dichotomy of my life. I like it when people are real and they really start feeling hope and joy and they start sharing that hope and joy in their lives and everyone's just so happy. But I hate seeing people be like, I'm so happy and joyous. Look at me. Woo! I want to take those people and bury their heads in the snow and not let them up.
See, John wants to murder people.
This got real dark.
Kind of, yeah.
What are you talking about?
You just talked about murdering people in the snow. Or
Oh.
maybe they can breathe under snow with their heads buried in it. I don't know. I've never had that done.
I don't know. Maybe they're part fish. I don't care.
Anything else to turn off for you, Satan?
No, mostly that whole sappy, saccharine stuff. I really just want to see people when it comes to Christmas just be real and at the same time express joy in a real way and not something that's just stupid or cartoonish or what they think they should be feeling. When it comes to being like, this is what Hollywood and what Hallmark Channel has taught me I'm supposed to be like during a Christmas movie, and this is how I'm going to do it. No, I hate that.
I think that's why I love The Ref, because it never
Oh, God,
does
yes.
that. It's completely, even though, I know it's, you're not supposed to like a movie with Kevin Spacey in it, but it's a Christmas movie. And if you know anything about Kevin Spacey, he always comes back at Christmas. It's
Right.
It's one of those movies where the humor always works for me. And it never goes to cheesy. It never goes to, it's actually very, very real and about like really real family struggles that happen and how they're dealt with. And then actually the guy that's supposed to be the bad guy or the lead, however you look at him, he's losing his mind because these people are so real.
Slipper socks, medium. So I have a story about the slipper socks medium for one of my family Christmases, if you don't mind me sharing.
No, please do.
So, all right. So my mother, who I lost at Christmas time a couple years ago, a couple years before this, we're all at the house where I'm at right now. And we're all enjoying Christmas and we're all unwrapping presents. And I unwrap this present and my mom's sitting next to me and she is so excited for me to be unwrapping this present. She hands it to me and she's like, I can't wait to see the look on your face when you open this. And I'm like, great. And so I open it and what I unwrap is like this puffy, one of those down feather puffy vests. So it looks like the vest that Marty McFly wears.
That's exactly
what I pictured.
Yeah, that's what we're all picturing.
Yeah. Like I was looking at, I hold it up and it's orange and I'm like, I don't mind the orange, but this big orange vest and I'm looking at it and I look at this thing, I look at my mom and she's got this big grin on her face and she's so happy she gave me this. And I look at it again and I go, you gotta be fucking kidding me, Mom. And she's like, what? I thought you'd like it. I'm like, I live in Florida. What am I going to do with this? So, yeah, I feel like a monster every time I tell that story, but I love that story so much because my mom was cracking up as she's sitting there trying to play it innocent. And then we did take the next day, we took that puffy vest back to the store and I traded it in for what is my all-time favorite sweater that I wear every year and I can't wait to wear it. And I've lost so much weight now that the thing looks like a freaking tent on me, but I don't care because my mom gave it to me and I love it.
Oh, you closed that up real sweet.
Yeah, see? That's my exact point. I could have been like, it's so great. Thanks, Ma. But
although you made your mom go to the store and take it back. I mean, that was kind of...
I went with her, but that's still...
I went, yeah, you did so poorly at this choice.
I love how some very adult man is like, come on, Mom, let's go to the store.
Go to the store. Don't just give me the receipt, make me do it myself. No, you drive. You made this call all on your own.
You're going to learn from your bad decisions.
You did not confer with me on the... See, the thing is that the other part of this joke that's funny is over the years, I have learned to never ask my family for clothing because if you ask for one thing that's nice, you're going to get that shirt in every single color there is on the planet.
Hey, I respect that. That means you got lots of those things.
Right. But I want variety, so I would actually
you
go
got different colors. That's variety. God, you're so demanding.
You're so picky and needy.
Mom, you got me 5 colors
totally
of the same shirt. We're going back to the store. You're driving.
Back in the 90s, before the internet and before Amazon, I actually used to go to make my Christmas list. I would go to the store and write down the SKU numbers for her of the things that I like.
Well, you just did not trust your mother. You just did not trust your mother at all.
I did not. One year she comes back and she's like, "Hey, did you want a job at Dillard's?" And I'm like, I don't know, I guess. Why? Well, the lady at Dillard's was so impressed by your itemized list and how you wrote down all the right numbers for her to find it that she was like, "I want to hire the guy."
Oh, that's funny.
That's funny. Although it's very sad that you keep making your mom drive to the sports store. Why don't she just give you a gift card?
I can't anymore.
Ooh, Jesus.
That's messed up.
Oh my God. What is it people... I've got a couple friends that have lost their parents and they all make freaking jokes about it. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that level, but I've got a buddy who lost his mom. And I said something about, I don't know, Mother's Day was coming up and we were all asking, like, what were you getting? Were you getting your wives or your mothers for Mother's Day? And he's like, nothing. Get to save money this year. And I'm just like, what? That's
my God.
How do you make this joke? He's like, it's my mom. I can say what I want. I'm like, okay.
Right.
All right. Apparently
my wife and I used to have this saying where I couldn't say anything about her mom because we lost her mom. And then when I lost my mom, the whole mom jokes were no longer thrown in the house because she tried doing it once and it was like, you can't do that anymore.
All right. Well, this took a dark turn. So
yeah,
things that I don't, or did you have any more that you don't like other than Orange Vest?
I think I've spoken enough.
Okay. I don't like kids not getting what they want for Christmas. That drives me nuts. And I know it's a big factor of a lot of movies, and I don't like any of those movies. It's kiss my ass, kid. If your movie has it, I already don't like it. I don't like spoiled kids that I didn't get what I wanted and boo-hoo, and then the parents doing everything they can to make that kid happy. That kid is awful. They do not deserve anything, and it doesn't entertain me unless it happens to be like a Santa serial killer who takes out spoiled brats. Like, then maybe I can get on board. But I don't have any interest in watching a kid just bitch about what they didn't get because, I don't know, I grew up poor, so it hits a nerve. I don't like it. Be thankful, you son of a bitch. God, drives me nuts. Okay, that probably went too long, and I apologize.
That was weirdly timed, honestly.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Well, the things
maybe I should be more thankful, huh?
Okay.
Dad's pretending to be Santa. I don't like that. No one believes you, and you just ruined Christmas. You're a jackass. I don't like those.
Wow.
Yep, don't like it.
They're just trying to do the right thing.
Those kids know. They look in your eyes and like, wait, Dad? And no, the kid never went, Dad, it's Santa Claus? No, the kid went, oh, so it's not real. You just ruined Christmas. You're awful. That's it.
Okay. I have really only one thing that bothers me in terms of a cliche.
When people say Die
movies.
Hard is not a Christmas movie, because that bothers me too.
That too.
Yeah. Savages.
That too. Mine is actually about, a lot of holiday movies, like I kind of mentioned, it's all about love and it's about bringing people together. What I really don't like, and this is applicable to like romance Valentine's Day movies too, is when one couple gets together by cheating on somebody in Love Actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, for the most part, I feel like I get around Love Actually and enjoy most of the movie, but stuff like that really bothers me because we're just ignoring all of the pain that you just caused this person to celebrate your happiness over here.
Trigger.
Yeah. Hell yeah, it is. But it's also just like real shitty. Like we're just supposed to, I don't know. I don't like the concept that we're supposed to dismiss the consequences of people's actions on others just because we're focusing on one side of it. Like that's not the complete picture of what's going on here.
You mean, are you speaking specifically with the whole doing the cards? Andrew Lincoln doing the cards to Keira Knightley? You're talking about that?
Well, I mean, in general, like the thing that sticks out to me that really has this example is The Notebook. I know it's not a holiday
No, hang on.
movie.
I'm talking about in Love Actually, because you brought up Love Actually. So I want to make sure, is that the scene you're talking about where the best friend, is outside telling Keira Knightley how much he loves her. And, the whole time, which is amazing, Amanda, you bring that up, because every time I watch it with a woman or women, they ooh and ah. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a delightful moment. As long as you don't stop for 5 seconds and think, that's his best friend. What an asshole. And she's entertaining it, which is feeding him the down the road. All I can think about is this is going to end with someone dead on the side of the road. That's the only way that this ends.
And that's the reality, Aaron. Yes. Somebody dies.
This is a Dateline show if I ever saw it.
It totally is, yeah. Oh, where'd Andrew Lincoln go? I don't know, but he was never seen again.
But yeah, it's just frustrating because Christmas and holidays, Thanksgiving, all of it's supposed to be about, I don't know if doing the right thing is part of it, but being your best self and others being their best selves and love and bringing people together. And to me, that's a very divisive action. So that doesn't really celebrate the holiday spirit, in my opinion. And I get real disdain for writers when they put that in there, and directors who try to make you like, don't worry about that piece over here. Just look over on the left side. Let's look at this happy stuff. And it's like, I'm not an idiot. I can see the rest of what's happening here. So that's really my only thing for holiday movies that would turn me off. For the most part, I can work through anything as long as it's well put together, well-rounded.
I kind of want to watch Love Actually again now.
It is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
It's a good movie, but that is it's such a messed up scene. And people will defend that. And I'm like, if that was your best friend and you happen to be that gentleman that gets off his couch while his wife is apparently answering the door for 27 minutes and doesn't think anything of it. And you happen to walk through the door and you see your best friend with a bunch of giant cue cards. Just think of the time it took to fill all that out. Make sure it's in sequence. Make sure you do it right. Make sure, everything is perfect. And then you encourage her to already violate the trust, right there at the door. He would be shot on the porch, I think. I think there's a good chance, someone or at least attacked. Even carolers might attack him once they realize what the situation is. That would be the truth.
And to me, that situation is even worse because he's like, I don't want to use the word premeditated, but he is already determined that I have to try to keep this as secret as possible, knowing that my best friend could show up at any second. So let me use cue cards because I can't speak out loud. Otherwise, he could possibly hear me confess my love. So I'm just going to use this silent method so you can look at it and understand what I'm saying. And he's still behind closed doors of what's going on.
And she's glowing the whole time.
She loves it.
She's glowing. I mean, it's not like, this is uncomfortable. This is weird. You're officially creeping me out and you will no longer be invited to parties. It is, I can't wait till he's not home and you come by. That's what that was.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's when you say, hey, Jerry, there's somebody at the front door. Did you order pizza? And then he comes up and he's like, what the is this?
The two of them were only married for like 5 minutes up until that point.
That makes him a worse friend, John. Worse.
Yeah, I know. That's why I bring it up.
Like, you couldn't wait a week? You couldn't wait a year? You couldn't give me some time to enjoy this, realize that I'm struggling or something? Like, maybe it's been 5 years, I'm not happy, whatever. Then at least you got something. But we literally just like walked down the aisle and you're already at the door. And apparently you've got placards. What? I don't understand.
You took the time to write it all out.
All it was missing was he busts out hand puppets at the end. He's like, let me act it out. Here's what happens if you run away with me.
That's exactly how I would have done
That's how I figured you would do it. That's how I pictured it, for sure.
One of the puppets would be Godzilla.
I love you. Rawr.
And then Mothra is over here.
Monkey.
Man, anything else you don't like about holiday movies or that bother you?
No.
Well, before we give our pitch, now we're going to give a pitch of like our own pitch for what a perfect holiday movie would be for us. But I'm kind of curious, do you guys have a movie you would consider a perfect holiday movie? From your perspective, not like in critical circles. I mean, your perspective. It's perfect to you.
Oh, from my perspective, the most perfect holiday movie there is Scrooged.
Because?
Well, I feel like I used to make this journey. I don't know if I'm making this journey this year, but I make this journey every Christmas where over the span of a year, I get a little bit more irritable, a little bit more tired, a little bit more annoyed with the world in general. And then it comes to Christmas time and I start feeling that weight come off of me, and I start remembering what the good things are out there in life and what is more important in life. And to see Cross go through this in Scrooge, and to see how it goes, how Bill Murray portrays that character. Every time he does one of those exclamations, I care. Like, those are things that I do in my real world as far as how I react to people, and just to see it boil down to what I feel like I would be like, or what people see at this time of year, going through and remembering what's important. That's why I think it's a perfect holiday movie. I also like any iteration of the story that I can't remember the original name of right now.
Scrooged? It's Wonderful
Well,
Life?
Scrooge, but what's the original name?
Oh, The Christmas Story.
Oh, Christmas Story?
Christmas Carol.
Right,
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. That's what it is. A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Story is that crappy movie.
Right.
We don't talk about that one here.
That people hate when I say it's crappy, but it's kind of crappy.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Mm-hmm. I wish I enjoyed that as much. Like, people enjoy it enough to have it on one network for 24 hours a day. What? Man, more power to you if you enjoy it that much. Amanda, what about you? Perfect Christmas movie. Do you have one?
Well, obviously Harry Potter, but additionally, I would say Elf. I know that one's a little bit more recent, but I absolutely love it. It makes me feel good. It makes me think about the holiday season. It makes me laugh. It's just a really feel-good movie. It's not the best movie, in terms of critical analysis, but I love it as a perfect Christmas movie.
Perfect for me, it's very complicated. I really like dark themes in my Christmas movies. My favorite movie is The Ref, but I would probably Die Hard's probably the closest I have to a perfect Christmas movie, because I watch it every freaking year and I don't tire of it. It's got action, it's got family themes, it's got Christmas, it's got music, it's got Christmas music, and it's an all around fantastic movie. It's a Wonderful Life comes pretty close to. For me, I like that it really tackles depression well, for especially that time period when they never touched on mental health at all. So, those are two that really stand out to me. They make me feel like Christmas. I don't feel like Christmas without them.
I'm surprised you didn't say something like Bad Santa.
That's more, it's fun to watch, but I would never say that's a perfect anything. And Bad Santa 2, I would not even classify as a movie. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. John, you go first. Give us your pitch. Incorporating your loves, I assume. Give us your perfect holiday movie.
All right, so here's my pitch. I want you to picture these two brothers. One of them's Nick, his being played by Chris Evans. The other one's Jack, played by Chris Pine. They haven't seen each other.
Where do I buy tickets?
Okay, so
Amanda's already lined up. She's got a lawn chair.
Hell yeah, I do. Let me grab my popcorn.
They haven't really seen each other very much over the years. They've grown very distant. One of them is a tech mogul, and the other one has become like a social media star, and both of them are becoming very popular and very high-level celebrities in their own right. At one point, they end up getting this phone call from their sister, Danny, played by Rebecca Ferguson, and she calls them home for Christmas because their mother has suddenly died, and she thinks it's important for them, the two boys, to come home to be with their father during this period. The brothers decide that they're going to go ahead and do this, so they come home, they spend time with their father, John, who's played by Tom Hanks, and now here comes the twist, because just before the Christmas festivities start, a group of mercenaries come storming into the town and start taking things over because they're looking for a team of super spies. What the brothers don't realize is that the super spies turn out to be their sister and their father, who have to go and fight this team of mercenaries and save Christmas for this entire town. So these two brothers, who are hapless idiots who have spent their entire lives being pampered by success and by throwing themselves out in the world, suddenly have to learn how to love their family and work with their family even more, because their lives now suddenly depend on it. Of course, they win, and the bad guys get thrown out of the town. town or killed, whatever. From this point on, the two brothers find that they should be respecting each other more often and spending more time together with the family, mostly because they're afraid for their lives at this point too. And that's my Christmas movie.
I love it.
That's pretty good. I like it.
Well, of course you do. You already bought tickets. You didn't really care about the plot or anything else. Just like, fine. And
Yep, essentially.
Budget's going to be $100 million, but, I want to see it for sure.
But I thought it'd be a lot of fun just because it would be fun for a lot of different levels, because you'd see Chris Pine and Chris Evans play these characters who are not capable fighters by any means, but they suddenly have to learn, but they don't ever quite become a capable fighter, but it's more like a slapsticky kind of thing when you see them on screen.
That would be fun.
You give Rebecca Ferguson a chance to do what she's been really good at, which is to be this badass chick that, kills people, and then we get to see Tom Hanks in a sort of a position that we haven't seen him do, which is to give him a chance to be an action movie star for a bit.
I dig this. Yeah, seriously, I hope somebody's listening. Go write that movie. Just story by John Davenport. Just remember that. I love it. Amanda, you or me? You go, or I go.
I can give mine.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I want to switch up the dynamic roles, because usually it's like a male and a female couple is our focus. I want to have a lesbian couple as the focus, played by Emilia Clarke and Jodie Comer.
Well, hang on. I need to buy popcorn and get a lawn chair. I'm in.
And they're really struggling with the expenses of alternative conception, and they just want to build a family. This creates a tug on them because Jodie Comer's character is working crazy hours trying to keep up with all of the financial aspects, and Emilia Clarke is dealing with the physical ailments of trying to conceive. They tell their family, who is across the country, that they can't make it for Christmas because they can't afford it. And, they're just going to do a video call or whatever. But lo and behold, of course, they show up at their house with gifts and cheer and, ooh, happy. Amelia ends up taking her dad's phone, who coincidentally is played by Tom Hanks, and is widowed and afraid to get back out there. And she signs him up on a dating app. And, this progresses obviously much better in the film, but he ends up meeting Meg Ryan's character at a local holiday event in town, and they fall in love, and he ends up bringing her over on Christmas Day as his date.
I like this.
It's mostly happy, but you have the struggle of the main couple who are dealing with a topic that's not really covered in a lot of movies, which is a gay couple trying to conceive a child, especially around the holidays. That's really difficult because that's usually when you're thinking about kids. Like you said, Aaron, you want kids and puppies with your holiday cheer. So it makes it even harder for them.
It sounds like a really good and solid idea. I dig it.
Yep. I would definitely go see that movie.
Is it just because Emilia Clarke and Jodie Comer are lesbian lovers?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doesn't hurt.
Lovers in the nighttime. I mean, if it's a sales pitch that I can respect. So yes, I don't see why that's a bad thing. Now just let me think about it for a minute. Okay. So, mine, I initially had this pitch for, it was for a girl, but it's a very dark, storyline. So I elected, because Brooklyn Prince is who I was thinking about the whole time, the Home Before Dark actress. So you could definitely make it a girl. I for whatever reason, I just pictured, every time I kept thinking of the storyline as you're going to hear it, the more I thought about it, I feel like, and it doesn't make any sense, but to me, I think it'll probably play better with a boy than it will a girl. I just feel like it might seem just creepier with a girl. And I think you'll understand once I explain it. But
okay.
If not,
this is so vague and confusing.
Let me tell you the pitch, and you tell me if you get what I'm saying. So anyway, I went with the boy. So it's 1995. It's a little bit of a lengthy pitch, but hear me out. It's 1995. It's Christmas Eve. A mother and father, they've been working long hours. They're trying to provide a special holiday after a really rough year for all of them financially. They've been very short, very unattentive, simply because of the stress. They've got a 11-year-old son, Billy. He's a good kid, even if he gets into a little bit of trouble a little too often, and he's snarky as hell, because that's how my characters are going to be in my movie. He's also a bit of a latchkey kid and frustrated that they refuse to listen to him on important issues that directly affect him, like most kids that age. 11 is like that turning point age where You're starting to hit where you understand life a little bit more, but you're also still a kid. It's that nice dynamic they've got going. In other words, a real family. Billy and his little puppy, gotta have a puppy, are walking home from hanging outside the mall waiting for Santa while Mom and Dad were at work. As he trots along, a van slides up along him. And bam, Billy is plucked into the van and whisked away. He's been kidnapped. And yes, it's a holiday movie, just bear with me. So Mom and Dad, they take a beat. They eventually piece together that he's been kidnapped, that what has happened. So they immediately go to the police. Search begins. It's a small town, so every road has already been locked down. Like they immediately lock the whole town down, meaning there's a good chance the kidnapper has not already left. Like he's still in the town. Billy and his puppy, they find themselves in the kidnapper's home. Now, I haven't cast anybody except the kidnapper role. Here we learn that the kidnapper's backstory, and his name is Sam, and he lost his 10-year-old son to cancer the year before, which led to his divorce shortly after. He's bereft with grief, and he took Billy out of impulse. It wasn't anything he planned. It was just something, it was a horrible, horrible action, and quickly realized how wrong he was. His mind was just broken, and now he has no idea how to get out of it. Like he just doesn't know what to do. Now, it's very important. I don't want to empathize with the kidnapper, but I do want to paint a picture of the pain inherent to the loss of a child. I think that's important, and how the holidays really, really add that strain to someone who's already struggling. So you need a great actor for this role. So it's the only one I cast, and that's Bryan Cranston. I just think he's the rare guy who could pull something like that off. It's a very tricky part. So Billy's parents, they quickly organize a search team with concerned neighbors and friends. So the whole town comes together. Even on Christmas Eve, there's people giving up their own family events, their own plans to leave town. Well, mostly the roads are blocked, so they have to, but they're also canceling their own family festivities because they want to help find Billy. It's a family coming together, so it's like they're all coming together with love. Meanwhile, Billy initially tries to escape because he's a plucky kid, and then slowly begins to understand his own parents more through the kidnapper's struggles as he starts to talk about what happened and how he feels and how sorry he is, and he's desperate. He doesn't know what to do now to get out of this, and obviously he has no intentions of hurting the child, something you would have to establish immediately to make this movie even work. And nothing justifies what he's done at all, but Billy learns about empathy for a mentally broken man from this moment. There's even a small scene where Billy joins Sam to sing his favorite carol that his son used to sing with him. It's a little bit of a mystery film as the town kind of slowly pieces together clues that lead to the kidnapper's home, who lives right in town, obviously, so they never left. But when they finally get there, they're already gone. Billy and Sam are already gone, and the puppy. Puppy's fine. At the same time, Billy and Sam walk into the police station where Sam confesses to everything that he had done and takes full responsibility immediately. Now, it isn't a stupid movie. He's still arrested. Billy tells them he was fed and cared for, and though it's not really going to matter a lot in the law's eyes, he hopes they get him help because this isn't a man that was a horrible, sick individual. It's someone who was just broken, mentally broken. They said they will seek to have him sent for some kind of a mental evaluation and hopefully help him. So then we cut to Christmas Day, the next day, where Billy and his parents, they're having a wonderful dinner. Billy relays tales of what happened to him the day before. He kind of explains what he learned about Sam. The film ends with Billy's parents finally listening to their son for the first time, and they arrive at the police station and ask to see Sam. And of course, the police are very reluctant as they kidnap their son. So they agree that they can talk to him through the glass on a phone. And that's where we proceed to see Billy singing that same carol that he sang with Sam, that Sam sung with his son. And then his parents slowly join in.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
That's my movie.
You do such a good job of painting a picture through how you speak and your storytelling. Like I could visualize everything that was happening as you were going through it. And now I'm like a little emotionally torn for this man. That's
Christmas to me. Learn a little bit about somebody who does something horrible and that maybe not everybody's as horrible as simply as you thought.
Have a little compassion.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would like to do. It's a tricky movie. You got to get the right director and actor, obviously, because
you as the director.
Sure. Give me the budget. I will finish the script. Look, it's half done, man. Like the whole story is right there. Jeez. What more do you need?
Also, this is copyrighted by Aaron Peterson.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, everything seems to be there. That's so much better than a Hallmark movie.
Oh, give me Hallmark's budget. Even that I can make work. That's what I got to do. I'm going to go finish this and write it as an indie flick.
That would
Do
be
it.
Bryan Cranston's salary.
I think he'd do it for free.
That's possible.
For scale.
For scale.
I was going to say free is a little...
Yeah, that's probably pushing it just a little bit too much. But thanks. I'm glad you guys like it. I think all three were actually movies that I would go to see. And you know what's funny? All three were probably better than what we normally get.
Yeah.
I mean, not to toot our horns, but yes.
Toot toot.
I'll pat myself on the back for that.
There you go. Well, I mean, John's is kind of fun. Yours is very emotional, but not too dark. Mine's is a little Prisoners, but still.
A little Prisoners.
Yeah, I like them all.
There's a market for all three. That's what I think. All right. So we did ask our listeners, like, what do you consider to be something that has to be in your holiday films for you to get maximum enjoyment? And I do kind of want to go through a couple of them. Josh Steinmetz said a sense of hope. I think we kind of all want to feel hope at some point. Kyle Nolan, it just doesn't feel like the holidays unless there's snow. I don't know how those in warmer areas get into the holiday spirit without the white stuff.
Agreed.
It's interesting.
It's difficult, but we make it happen.
John's like, I'm good. I'm very good without it. Casey Blaise or Blase, I don't know which way to say that. I don't want to say it wrong, or Blaise. A letter. All the best Christmas movies at some point have a letter being written or a Christmas card.
I do like that element.
That's very good.
Written letters. I love that in anything.
I like that. Anna Maria Germa agreed the music has to be immersive, warm, and Christmassy. Because Nate Bruce also said a good musical score.
I liked Alex Amatrano's comment that said something that reminds you of childhood. Anything that brings back that sense of wonder as a kid at Christmas time is always the best.
I like that comment a lot.
That's a very sweet comment. Bill Steven, he said a story that allows an adult to see Christmas through the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
Yep, that's another one that's good. That's one of the reasons why I think you like having kids around for Christmas, because kids get so into it, and kids have that wide-eye look, and they're just so into it, everything that's happening, and you just really are a fiend trying to tap into a little bit of that drug to get that feeling again.
It really is a great feeling. When you know, every Christmas is not great. There's obviously tragedies that have happened. I know I've had them. I know other people have had tragedies that happen at Christmas time. It's not always the best year, but when it's done right and you find yourself in a situation where you see that kid just ecstatic, and I don't mean over presents. Like, I don't get impressed with kids are over. Like, yeah, you're excited. You got stuff. Who doesn't love getting stuff? When you see kids getting excited because of hot cocoa, or seeing Santa, or candy canes, or ornaments, baking cookies, just the things that matter, not the stuff. I just don't care about stuff. I never have. So as long as it's not about stuff, I get into it. I can't wait for Christmas now.
I know, this is really getting me in the mood. I might have to put up some of my Christmas stuff early.
All right, so let's go to upcoming releases. What's coming out? Okay, well, I'll start. How about Eternals, huh? Disney has got another, one of those Marvel things that apparently has been, quote unquote, review bombed with negative reviews by a whopping 450 people. Nobody wants to mention that they've been review bombed by 950 positive reviews for a movie that nobody's seen. So maybe just pump the brakes, internet sites that have to run clickbait. Jesus, that drives me nuts. So this one is it's the Saga of the Eternals, a race of immortal beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations. And apparently they're going to explain why the hell they haven't been around during Thanos and everything else, even though they've been hanging around on our planet. And apparently there's an argument to be made, but I hope they got a really good one, because it sounds a little bit of a stretch. It comes out November 5th to theaters across the world. And I do want to say the first Marvel movie to be certified, I believe, rotten on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah, it did.
It's concerning.
I mean, Disney's checks usually clear, and apparently they did not this time. So we'll see what happens.
I will still see it for a buff Kumail Nanjiani.
It's 2 hours and 37 minutes, this movie.
Of Kumail looking good.
I doubt that he'll be in it for 2 hours and 30. Richard Madden.
Okay, well, Angelina Jolie will, and she is looking good.
Okay. we're in it for pretty people. Understood.
Yeah, I can
Right.
suffer through for pretty people.
And don't get me wrong, scores don't necessarily matter because we like Batman versus Superman. So, nah. Not what DC bitches gonna or Marvel bitches
So
gonna say.
pox on your house.
Well,
Rotten Tomatoes.
if you're not interested in seeing Eternals, maybe you're interested in seeing Spencer, which comes to theaters also on November 5th.
Is that the one with Mark Wahlberg?
Huh? No.
No, it's not that one.
It's the one with Kristen Stewart.
That's not getting any better.
In 1991, while spending the Christmas holiday with the royal family at Sandringham House, Princess Diana decides to leave Prince Charles. This is directed by Pablo Larraín, and it stars Kristen Stewart. Then we also have The Spore coming to VOD on November 9th. The lives of 10 strangers intersect through a terrifying chain of events as a mutating fungus begins to spread through a small town, wiping out everyone that comes into contact with it. It's directed by D.M. Cunningham, and I think we've lived through this, just not a fungus. So, that's fun.
That's fair. All right. Any recent film or TV recommendations not previously discussed? I want to mention You, season 3, because I finished it, and why do women love this guy? I don't understand.
And you looked at Penn Badgley.
I get Penn Badgley is alluring and whatnot, and he's got crazy hair that
I love
women wish he would have, but no man really wants. It's he's like Dexter, but awful. He's worse than Dexter. Like, he's literally what every woman says freaks them out in the real world. But if this guy, if you actually, he's so dreamy. If you met him and he did any of these things, you would want to file a restraining order. Why is that appealing? You're encouraging this behavior. Some dude right now is watching this going, this is what women want. Okay, I'm going to start following them. Hey, you. Hey, you.
Hey, you guys.
That's what real women are going to see when you do it. So don't.
I want to mention, since you actually just said the name of the show, I've been doing a rewatch in preparation of Dexter New Blood.
Ooh.
And am almost on season 8, which is the last and, dare I say, worst season of the show. So I'm almost through it. I forgot how many details there were that happened, and I literally just completely forgot about. Great show. If you never watched it, now is a perfect time to do it because it comes back this Sunday, November 7th. November 7th.
Man is forward in time to when the 9th is on a Sunday. Comes
I
out
had
in
to
6
think
years.
in my head.
Yeah.
Well, I've been watching a lot of stuff, so I finally got all caught up on Midnight Mass, which I loved it. I don't know if I liked it better than Bly Manor or House on Haunted Hill, but I still loved it. And yes, it is very much the monologue, the TV show. Everyone gets a freaking monologue, and that's kind of annoying, but still really great at the same time.
Like, literally everyone gets a monologue.
Yeah. Everyone. But I really liked how they handled that show, and it did exactly what I wanted. It didn't turn the island into its own kind of personality, but it had a lot of other things going on, so I was really happy with it. I went and got myself all caught up on SVU and Organized Crime, the two Law and Order shows that are still on the air or just newly on the air for Organized Crime. I gotta say, SVU has really, really changed in the last 2 seasons. And I went from having SVU on and, dipping in and out of it as I'm doing other stuff around the house to all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, what the hell's going on? I gotta pay attention? What the hell? It's really getting some good storylines going, and it's becoming a little bit more serialized as opposed to episodic. So it's very good. And Organized Crime is just firing on all cylinders. Chris Meloni doing that character again is just joy on wheels. So it's been really good. And finally, it's funny because I didn't want to watch the show. I got bored one night and I started watching on Amazon Prime I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I watched the first episode and I thought to myself, this is dumb, because it really tested my ability to suspend my disbelief. But then I went ahead and watched the second episode, and it turned me completely around, and it just continues to keep on getting better and better. And it's really quite a solid whodunit. It has a few quirky character things to it, but still the characters we do have are watchable, and and some of them are even enjoyable to a good degree. But the whole show itself is a very solid whodunit for today's day and age.
Really? It's not hokey CW nonsense? Because that's what it looked like.
Everyone's a little too pretty, so I will agree to that. But it's not very hokey at all as far as like a CW feeling kind of show. It really feels kind of grungier than a CW show does.
Okay. I did see Army of Thieves too, the Army of the Dead prequel that has Matthias Schweifer, who also directed it. He actually returns. He's not Dieter anymore. He goes by a different name, but it's Dieter. And it kind of, going over what his story was before he meets up with Dave Bautista in Army of the Dead. And this is, he's basically like a safecracker who's recruited for this top secret heist where they break down and crack 3 classic safes. And it all does tie into Army of the Dead. And Natalie Emmanuel's in it, from Game of Thrones. She is fantastic as Gwendolyn. Just an absolute charmer. She really radiated Emilia Clarke in Last Christmas energy as far as I was concerned. I really, really love her in this role. I really want more of this and less Army of the Dead. So I don't know, make of that what you will, but it was kind of fun to see a nice little zippy heist flick. And it's on Netflix and you can watch it right now.
That sounds solid.
It really was. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Hollywood Outsider. Share your thoughts on the episode. Share the episode itself on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, whatever social media you use. Please share the show. It does help the podcast for sure. You can rate and subscribe us on your preferred podcast app as well. And you can find John's artwork and everything else on Insta and Twitter at rjohndraws. Amanda on Veronica's Marshmallows, the podcast, and Smirk, the podcast, and at Sink Into This on Twitter. Troy, who will, I'm sure, be here next week, at Troy Heinritz and The Blacklist Exposed. And me, I'm Presenting Hitchcock, which we just had a Rear Window episode. So that's a fantastic episode because it's the best movie of all time. And I'm also on Twitter at Aaron Smirks, where you can tell me that I gave something a garbage ass review. Thank you. And remember, the next time you head to a theater, guys, buy popcorn.